I'm Robert Cardoza, and you're watching On the Street. This is the intersection of business and politics. This is where we're going to tell you the unbiased truth about what's going on in business and in politics without being predisposed from one side of the aisle or the other when it comes to politics. We're just going to tell you the honest-to-God truth. We put everything into a funnel, see what comes out, analyze that, and just tell you what really is going to happen. Today, when we talk about what's in the news, obviously I've got to talk about sequestration. It starts March the 1st. It's going to start off with an $85 billion cut. After we discuss that a little bit, we'll talk about what's in the news. Actually, we're going to talk about new legislation, which would be proposed legislation. And it's based on the State of the Union that was done last week, and I need to deal with that a little bit so that you get some reality coming in. Later on in the show, my guest is going to be Fran Cannon. Fran Cannon is going to tell us how to actually create a multi-million-dollar business. He's a renowned speaker around the country. He's spoken for the U.S. Navy and Hughes and General Dynamics. But first up, let's talk about what's in the news, and we're going to talk about sequestration. You know, March the 1st is where it's at. For weeks, we continue to say that Congress and the administration just continue to kick the can down the street, and they make everything a cliff. They make it falling off the cliff. You know what? You could never run your personal life this way. You could never run your business this way. And I don't know why we, as taxpayers and citizens, allow the people we elect to protect us to run our country this way. Makes no sense at all. These are things that are going to take place whether you like it or not. Now, think about it. March the 1st, $85 billion in cuts. What's it going to do? Well, I'll tell you the first thing it's going to do, it's going to cost us somewhere around 1 million jobs. What do you think that's going to do to the economy? And it's also going to cost business. It's going to hurt business. You know, during a time when our economy is just sort of dragging up and it's not moving very quickly on the recovery, we don't need more of these kinds of tests when the solutions are so easy. The truth is, Congress is doing everything in its power to hold us hostage almost against the economy. You've got the Federal Reserve trying to help us, and you've got the Republican side on one side saying we're not going to do anything until the Democrats do something, and the Democrats on the other side saying we're not going to do anything that the Republicans propose. You know, that's all BS. That doesn't make any sense at all. What we need to do is to get something passed. So let's talk about that $85 billion. You know, it's not just going to be laid out in concrete. Nobody gets to make any choices. That $85 billion is going to be cut proportionately among all of the areas of government, with the exception of Social Security and uniformed military. Other than that, the Defense Department has to cut 7.9% of its existing budget, and the non-defense areas and other entitlements other than Social Security have to cut 5.3% from their existing budgets. So when you start looking at these things, they're not going to have a lot of choices to make because proportionately, every area of the budget has to cut according to that percentage. Now, within those budget areas, those sub-areas, they're going to have some flexibility, and they're going to be able to say, well, I'm going to take a little bit from here to put into there. But when you start talking about defense, in all the different areas in defense other than uniformed, then you're going to say, okay, maybe it's going to be new technology. It's going to get cut 7.9%. Now, within new technology, they can say so much for widgets and so much for blowhards. You know, they're all blowhards, so it doesn't really make much difference. Maybe they can get rid of those $10,000 toilet seats. That would help a little bit. But that's exactly how this is going to happen. But how it affects the economy? Gosh, just think of what's been happening in the stock market the last few days simply because no one has confidence in what the government is actually going to do here. You know, we're trying to avoid these things, and Congress just seems to be intractable. They just seem to not care what's happening to our country. Right now, it looks like Europe is going to fall back into a recession, and if we go into this sequestration full blast without any plans, we're going to go back into a recession as well. Just think about the effect of losing over 800,000 jobs almost immediately. Almost immediately. Now, I will tell you this. Most of that is going to be in the military, and a lot of that is going to be transitional. They're just not going to rehire people that are retiring or going. But we're going to lose 800,000 jobs. Just think about how long it took us to get that. Almost a year. Almost a year to get 800,000 jobs in almost immediately we're going to lose them all. Just think of what that is going to do to devastate our economy. Think about how that is going to affect your business. People aren't going to have the money to spend out in your stores or in your restaurants or in your printing offices. You know what? You got to be thinking about contacting your congressman and saying, hey, what the heck are you doing up there? You're not doing what I elected you to do. You're not protecting me. You need to get it straight, because you know what? In 2 years, you could be without a job. That's exactly what you need to be thinking about. You need to be contacting your congressman, you need to be contacting your senator, and you need to get serious about all these things. Now, I want to remind everybody you're watching On the Street. This is the intersection of business and politics, and me, I'm Robert Cardoza.